a residential project for a great client. She had grown up in the area, summering there since she was a little girl. So had been something that she had been looking forward to for a long time, having her own place in this summer community. The project itself grew out of a sort of a historical context on a steamboat landing where, these steamboats used to run between ports in Maine, and the site for this building was one of those steamboat stops. And the building itself originally was the ticket booth. When she got the building, it was in disrepair. There was quite a few structural issues with it. It was sort of too far gone. So part of the project was, raising the whole thing up above the flood elevation. We had to sort of figure out a way to make this building feel like it belonged on the wharf, but also at the same time raising it up. It was kind of a tricky little challenge. The way that we dealt with that was to sort of wrap the entire building with this deck. It gave it a feeling of being grounded without having to express those piers that the building actually sits on. My favorite part about the project is the way that it sort of fits into its context in a way that is a little bit unexpected. And we did that, I think, by sort of paring back the geometries. We made everything sort of really as elemental as we possibly could. There were a few places where we sort of went against that grain. It has its own very sort of unique identity, but it's all kind of grounded in a lot of what you would normally see along the coast of Maine. She is, just ecstatic about being able to be there and sort of, coming back to where she started. To be in that place in that way is, I think her favorite part about it. I think the design process, which was very interactive with the client, she had a lot of great ideas, and it sort of became competitive, not in a mean way, but in a kind of nurturing way. And so we had this really, really fun kind of give and take. I should mention also Maggie Kirsch from our office was also a part of those meetings, and she was definitely one of the ones sort of instigating some of that. And the three of us had a really good time in a bunch of those meetings. So I think that design process was really connected to the client. That kind of personal connection is what makes a successful project. What I learned about this particular project that will help to sort of inform others going forward, I think, were ways to incorporate what seemed to be at some level a sort of insurmountable problem. This one especially sort of forced that thought process to turn what may have been, sort of a negative constraint into something positive. And I think that as an idea going forward is really something that I can sort of look back on and use that experience. Well, I already mentioned Maggie Kirsch. She did a lot of the work and the design work on this one. Buzzy Sear in our office also did a lot of the drawing and helped sort of develop the envelope and all of those details. Lisa Morris, we worked with her. She's a friend of the client's. Was the interior designer here. Peter Knoopel, this was one of the last projects we worked on with him. He did the lighting design. MK Construction did all the building. Clarence, especially Clarence McConnell, McCullough was the sort of boots on the ground for MK. He was the project leader there. Richardson Associates did the landscaping, which again was an integral part of the project, sort of tying the building to the site and doing it in a way that, we have this sort of building that needed to float, but it needed to feel grounded. So, the landscaping component was a huge portion of that. I'd also like to thank Paul Becker, who did all the structural engineering from Thornton Tomasetti. And I think that sums it up.